All right, guys, you voted for this. We're gonna look at this. Somebody had told me that in this conversation, uh, I think it's just Nicholas Diorio and Mudahar, some ordinary gamers. They're talking about MamaMax, and I think that he disavows him. We saw him give him like reasonable compliments, saying, "Hey, you should come forward with what you have, go to the police, etc., etc." MamaMax doesn't seem to be part of the business of doing that. But this is the one you voted for. And, it barely beat out Booker T and Stone Cold Steve Austin at the grocery store. Which, frankly, I would have preferred. But this is what we're doing. So let's get this going. And just to be clear, here's what we got. Here's what we got with MamaMax. He's been working on, apparently, this weird vampire story about some cult for a while now. He hasn't really gone to the police. The one time he did, it was like they said he was in the wrong jurisdiction. And he decided not to go to the right jurisdiction. My understanding is that he's not even trying to pursue it legally. He's just trying to pursue a civil suit. I don't really understand. None of this makes sense at all. I don't really get it. I really just don't. It just doesn't seem like, it seems like he shouldn't be doing this. This is vigilante justice. It can work, but it usually doesn't. Go to the police with all the information you have. I don't get it. It sounds like you're not really interested in helping people, but okay.
I know more than you guys, but honestly, at this point, I don't really know how much I know the guy. Just because we don't, like, outside of the stuff here on YouTube, we don't really do a lot of heart-to-hearts, right? We, if I have to say, like, the more, the people out of that group that have the most heart-to-hearts is probably, like, Nexpo, Nick, because he's really close by, but, me and Max, like, it's there. I try to. Sometimes, we don't talk for a while.
It's so weird to have a heart-to-heart with somebody. I don't know. Is that maybe it's just cringe to me. Maybe I'm just cringe. I don't know.
But when it comes to situations,
what do you have? Friends? Cringe?
Periodically
like
for a few months when he's working on a project. That's not abnormal, right? I'm assuming that's the same interaction that you have with him, where he'll just kind of go off the wall for a couple months and not be around.
Yeah, he's gone for he'll go for a while.
I guess, was it a little concerning to you when you saw?
Is he actually working on a project?
Saw that he was like live and doing
aren't like most of his projects calling like 19-year-olds pedophiles for talking to like 16-year-olds? Like
okay. Live stream after the stuff that you guys spoke about last time, and was that a little confusing, a little jarring to say the least?
I was not the biggest fan of it. I jumped into that live stream and it's to say that I was a little livid when he said that I saw the evidence and he kind of used that to corroborate
oh, interesting. Okay.
Quality of his evidence that he has put behind an NDA was pissing me off.
Do you think that he used your name specifically? Because
probably Mudahar. I feel like Mudahar is probably one of the most credible individuals on YouTube. So, I mean, I guess that would piss me off too if he didn't necessarily. I mean, he might have evidence, but he's just not showing the police. Makes perfect sense to me. But I guess he was saying that he told Mudahar as a way to try to make it seem like there was credibility to the evidence he had, when that isn't necessarily true. Yeah, I would see why that would piss him off.
Well, if Mudahar's seen it, then they'll take me more seriously, or is that putting too much?
Probably. I think that was an element of it, yeah. Because I feel like people know me a little bit as a guy that, like, anytime I do work with, like, Coffee or Carl or anybody of these guys, right? Like, I'll always say, like, anytime I collaborate, I think it's always the other party and not me that gets, like, that takes the gloves off first, Yeah. Because I always really play something super carefully. Like, I'll never say somebody is a, like, scammer or, like, a pedophile or something, unless I have something that I know is 100% in court,
Yeah, that makes a perfect sense.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I know that I can get away with saying a lot of things, but I just don't bother doing it because, like, in the chance that I do get threatened with legal work or something, I can always just laugh it off. Like, I never add that stress to the pile.
Man, I mean, you literally just had recently this whole thing with Gerard that was probably very stressor legally speaking.
Gerard Butler.
At any moment that could have gone fucking crazy.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it still could, but, like, at this point, it's one of those things where it's like, as long as I know that I crossed my T's and dotted my I's, I should be fine. One of the things that we discussed with Max about this too, and was just like, you got to make sure your evidence is 100% on the money, because who you could be.
Did Max say he signed an NDA? What would he sign an NDA for, by the way? Like, and maybe you guys can maybe educate me, but what did he even sign an NDA for? Like, what would be the purpose of an NDA in this situation? For what? Like, who did he sign it with? Did he sign it with the girls that were allegedly trafficked or whatever? I just don't really understand that. Did he sign it with himself? Because I can't imagine he signed it with the vampire guy. So I don't really get that.
be accusing may not be guilty of the crime, right? Because you don't have their side of the story. I mean, at this point, I don't even know if like the guy that he's talking about, Camden Gerard Davis, may still even be alive, you know?
I think recently someone who wasn't related to the investigation found that he got like a parking violation or a speeding ticket in September of
guilty. I knew it, dude. Anybody who gets parking violations obviously runs cults.
last year, confirming that he's alive. But it's shocking to find out that that information didn't come from Max. That somebody else had to like, confirm whether this alleged cult leader who's operated. By the way, one of the things that's the hardest to suspend disbelief on is this is a cult leader pedophile, allegedly, right? That uses social media to groom.
Well, apparently he was like 19 and he was talking to like a 16-year-old. I don't know. One of them was apparently maybe 12. I don't really know. I mean, we don't know anything, do we?
Children who also has no online footprint.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, and that's one of the things, because even...
But hey, maybe MamaMax, like, next month will release everything.
Last night, I was looking up, like, Cameron Gerard Davis, and it was like, this guy's not alive, you know? Like, this guy's not there. And I would consider myself to be pretty good at finding, like, shit in cracks and crevices of the internet. You know?
I mean, it's possible that, I guess, this guy doesn't use the internet, but how... And he just does everything locally? I guess that would be the claim.
I've had to do it for cases like Rubets even, right? Like two of the guys that we found were so off the grid. And we're talking, we have to look through like shards of old Reddit information and like forums from like 2004 in order to find people and verify like identities and everything. So I consider myself pretty good at it. Could not find shit on Cameron Gerard Davis or that cult, which I think is incredibly suspicious.
I guess it's also telling that you looked. I mean, that's clearly more effort than I guess he thought you would do. One of the things that I found throughout this whole situation was he leaned heavily on you when you were calling him recently about how he'd reached out to you prior, right, for a discussion about the subject, and saying like, well, Mudahar, I wish we'd spoken about this months earlier, so you could advise me on what best to do.
Yeah, he was trying to blame him for it. That's what it came off as to me. Kind of fucked up.
Now, I don't think that you disagree.
I think the idea was with Muda so that he didn't create his own video and leak the story for... Oh, okay. So apparently the okay, so you're saying that the NDA was MamaMax had Mudahar sign an NDA. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of shitty then. Then he's putting him in this like weird position. Wouldn't that, and listen, I don't know anything, but wouldn't that violate the NDA then? If MamaMax is like putting Mudahar in a situation like that? Couldn't that, I mean, maybe a lawyer could argue that that would violate the NDA because he's trying to use his credibility in some capacity? No? Am I dumb? I don't know. I'm probably dumb.
I mean, when I say out of his depth here, he admits that he's never done a case of this size, a case of this magnitude, right? Where he's working with these people. He's never been to court. He's never done anything like this before. So when people say that he's like a clout chaser, I don't understand what Anthony Fantano would have done to help him. I don't understand what Joe Rogan would have done to help him. I could see what maybe you could have advised him on privately, but most of the people he's reaching out to also have never been in situations like that before. I guess, do you kind of see where people are coming from in the clout chaser thing, or do you think this is a different...
No, I see exactly where people are coming from.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just seems like he's trying to utilize... I mean, listen, this is what I said before. This is what I think really happened, is that we had a Me Too movement. I know I'm going on the weird spot. And people rightfully started listening to sexual assault survivors. And then, like most movements, it went too far. And we got to a point where you could basically say, oh, I'm going after pedophiles or the rapists. And then that pretty much would deflect all criticism, because it'd be like, well, how could I ever criticize this person? So even though he made really obnoxious, cringe videos, people are like, well, I got to be careful because this guy... And then people are finally kind of, I think, normalizing the right perspective of like, hey, listen to all alleged survivors. But, you know, obviously, since he'll proven guilty, you have to operate carefully because there's a lot of different factors. And some of those factors can be people that are in emotionally vulnerable situations, having their emotions sensationalized and heightened by other opportunistic people who can capitalize off of their potential trauma. And this is kind of where we're at now. People are just like, yeah, this doesn't sit right. It hasn't been sitting right for a while. The air that MamaMax has always had around the videos that he did, where it was this weird, like, unserious cringe thing, kind of diminishes what he was doing. And now we're kind of realizing that he seems to call people like pedophiles for nothing. Like, I think that, what was one of them? Like the Magnetar? I think he talks to him later. I'm not going to look at it, but Magnetar. By this guy when he was 18 might have sent an inappropriate picture to a 15-year-old. It's like, well, that's not pedophilia. Might be inappropriate, really not that unreasonable of an age range, But like with pedophilia, it's just this weaponization of calling everything that makes this person feel uncomfortable pedophilia. It's like, okay, it's ridiculous.
Clout chaser stuff, like, forget Joe Rogan, even like Anthony Fontana. It's like, what the fuck is like the rap review guy?
Well, he was saying like,
this
is the song that I used in the background of my video.
And even then, it's like, this is what I don't understand about it too. It's like, if this case is too much for you, then you should absolutely
pass it on.
Hand it off, not to another YouTuber. You should package it up and hand it off to a law enforcement agent.
Well, he should have always done that. Like this is never supposed to be doing content on stuff like this. Is never supposed to be an alternative, in my opinion. It's just supposed to be like almost like an enhancer. It's like, oh my god, we found this guy. Let's go to law enforcement, and then we'll make a video off of it on top of that, so we could actually do some kind of like real world good. You shouldn't be holding on to it just to make money.
One of the things about cops, and I said this on a stream yesterday with him, I'm like, the law enforcement system can be shitty. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't. But like, how are you going to fucking go up to a federal agent or like a law enforcement agent, anybody from any department, and just say, all right, here's like black vampire person, and they were responsible for, I guess, allegedly kidnapping and starting this cult. And look, I want to believe that Max has some crazy evidence, right? Like under his belt. That nobody's seen, but like what rubs me the wrong way is like he's asking us to help make PSAs to search for victims. I'm like,
yeah, so what are you gonna make a PSA for? You don't really know.
Like, I can't go and call some.
It sounds like he's fishing. He's hoping that he'll find evidence. That's what it sounds like. He's hoping he'll find, some kind of actual thing that's going wrong by doing this PSA.
Somebody, a cult leader, or a fucking pedophile, or a human trafficker, unless I see some hard-hitting evidence,
Yeah,
like
100%.
Even with people like Andrew Tate, and I always get into this thing when I talk about it, it's like I am more comfortable talking about Andrew Tate in that way because I've looked at a bunch.
Yeah, because there's tons of information that suggests that he, pretty much prove that he absolutely did what he is being alleged of.
Bunch of fucking court documents that show really fucked up behavior. I haven't seen shit from this guy. I haven't seen anything.
Well, all I know is we have is witness testimony, and like as as it is to say, I can't make a fucking main channel video going over witness testimony. I mean, it would go against every single thing I, as a creator, have criticized others for.
Especially since, again, like let's say I don't know what happened, but people in emotionally vulnerable situations or headspaces are open to manipulation. So let's say that, I don't know the specifics, but let's say this vampire cult guy is just some weirdo online that would like talk to girls and like get them to date him, and he would do like shit that was manipulative. Let's say he's manipulative. Let's say he's not a cult leader. I don't really know. But instead of, they're trying to make, MamaMax is trying to make it seem like this guy's like this super big vampire cult leader that pulls girls in and blah, blah, blah. Let's just say he was a 19-year-old that reached out to some 16-year-old girl, and then he's like autistic and thinks he's a fucking vampire, and he's like he's cringe like MamaMax. Like, I'm a vampire and I love you. And he messages fat white women, and they're like, oh my god. So they, they move and give them all their money and stuff. And he was like a shitty person. And then afterwards, that person comes out of there, the girl, and it's like, wow, this guy was like really shitty. And then you meet some other kind of person that might be kind of a piece of shit. And they're like, no, I think that this person's like a cult leader. I think they're a pedophile. I think that you're not just a victim of like a really scummy piece of shit, which still deserves some kind of punishment. But like, this is actually like a deep-seated conspiracy. And then you plant that in their brain. I could see it. I could see that happening. I know it sounds weird, but I could see potentially this MamaMax guy taking it. I'm not saying this is like exactly what he did. I'm just saying I could see him, talking to somebody that might be emotionally vulnerable and then telling them that their situation is worse than it is and sensationalizing it so they can make content out of it. Because why the fuck have you not gone to the police?
In the past.
The thing with witness testimony is like, if we were to take that as evidentiary fact, then Max is screwed because he's had so much witness testimony against him. So we can't operate on like.
Thank you, dude. This guy is acting like, 8 people have accused Camden Gerard Davis of fucking crimes in some way, shape, or form. The more we get, clearly something's happening here. When 5 of his ex-girlfriends or former friends have accused him of abuse.
True that.
Yeah,
that's like insane.
I think the NDA stuff is really wild too. It's like, obviously, I think NDAs are like designed to. I feel like it's almost like a way to add some level of credence to this. Like, there's some crazy case like NDAs aren't enforceable in this situation. Like, I mean, I could leak out everything. What's going to happen? Are you going to sue me or something?
Well, no.
True.
That's what I was saying before. He's going to sue you.
Yeah, one of the girls, at least one of them, is living with MamaMax. And I know somebody was like, well, they were friends from childhood or whatever, but it's still, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's still weird. It's still bizarre. This person that supposedly was in a cult that lived with some abuser for so long is now living with you. And now every time somebody criticizes you, you're like, well, she wanted to stream. It's like, what? That's so weird,
Yeah, I'm sure. He doesn't even want to go to the police to handle his fucking pedo case. I don't think he's going to take you to civil court.
And the thing about it is, like, they don't want to take him to court because apparently he doesn't have any assets. Well, it's like, what the fuck are we doing at this point? It's
what does it matter about taking? Like, what do the assets matter? If this guy's a pedophile vampire, you got to stop him. Just like Edward Cullen, because it's weird. Edward met Bella. What was she, 16 or something? He's like 100 years old. It doesn't matter if he looks young, you know?
It's like, why don't we, like, now we have to go to the Georgian police or something and I guess get them to file.
It's interesting that this is always about financial restitution. I mean, I understand money can make things better, right? You know, but isn't it supposed to be about getting a dangerous criminal off the street?
Like, all these girls to file in person when I'm pretty sure a lawyer can file on your behalf. You can just, you know, pay somebody to do it.
I know more about Camden's family than I know about Camden through this investigation.
Yeah.
I did a 4.5-hour live stream where I watched 3 YouTube videos and got a summary from an interview that they've done, and I don't know a single fucking thing that he's done definitively, and that's absolutely the problem. I urge you to take a look at like the example I gave before, because I tried to convert your investigation into the completionist into a MamaMax style video and explain how retarded it would be.
Whoa!
If it was presented in the exact same fashion, where I kind of explained how if you, as a filmmaker, filmed yourself like as an old man,
gooning, yeah,
watching a commercial and seeing it over and over and over and over again, and at the very end of the video, you realize, holy shit, that guy didn't donate the money. And then you flash a picture of Gerard the completionist on the screen, and then everyone has to understand what the fuck you're trying to say in that video, and no one gets it.
Yeah.
And it would be like you making a second video to criticize and call all the people who didn't get the first video an idiot, and a third video. It's like, I don't know anything about Camden Gerard Davis. I don't know anything about Camden Gerard the completionist Davis. It makes no fucking sense to me. Now, a lot of people in my chat are now interested in his other investigations, and I know you, Nexpo, Nuxtaku, all you guys know him on a personal level. But I guess, could you speak to his credibility on previous stories?
I've never like worked with a previous investigation on the MamaMax stuff. I can't even say that I'm like the biggest expert on some of his previous investigations. That's something that he never looped me in on. We never really talked about an investigation. We never really got the only thing close to it was like, I remember when we had that wake up YouTuber fucking, there was this hashtag, I forget.
Answer us pedotube.
Yeah.
Answer us pedotube.
Or it was pick a side, pedophiles or children. There were 2 hashtags.
Even when I was working on that video.
Listen, here's my thing. I feel bad for kids, but I feel like pedophiles could probably beat the kids. So I gotta side with the winning team. Am I right? I'm just kidding. I'm obviously joking.
I made a video where I talked about it, and in my video, it definitely wasn't like going as inflammatory as Max. I kind of get into the idea of explaining like the technicals of things, and it's like, hey, listen, there's fucked up shit on YouTube all the time, but I mean, it's what, like the most used website, one of the most used websites in the world. Like,
yeah,
of course, some bad shit's gonna get through with it, but you know, I don't know if they were like, I feel like these kind of heavy-handed like campaigns oftentimes do way more damage to people's understanding of like,
well, like trying to like just assassinate YouTube because they obviously should do better on their monitoring of things, but just like trying to go after them as hard as possible. Like, yeah, that's a little weird to me. Like, there's things to criticize YouTube for and stuff, but they do better than a lot of other sites.
Like big websites like this, and also really insane topics like this too.
I think a lot of the issue, I guess, with some of his previous investigations is because there are so many people who come out and speak on his character. Like during the Answer Us YouTube thing, they'll say stuff like, no, Max isn't like that. Max works really hard. I had a conversation with Night Docs. I'm sure you've met him before.
He goons really hard.
Con stuff. He's another one of those filmographer type YouTubers, and a lot of people.
Bro, I hate those kind of artsy people. I knew somebody who was like the super artsy guy. And they're just so fucking annoying, you know. Like I can't explain it. There's these kind of like this is what these people usually are. They're usually like these semi-reasonably like attractive guys that are really artistic, and they're super full of themselves. And I fucking hate people like that. It reminds me of MamaMax, and they're just like super bratty too. You know, they don't really know how to work. Like, I don't know. This is one guy I work with. He just didn't really want to do anything other than like the artistic stuff, but he worked a regular job, but he's just like, I'm above this kind of thing. It's like, I don't know, man. It kind of gives me the same vibes.
Myself included. I guess look to you, Nux, Nexpo, guys who have worked with him, other YouTubers who've supported him in those previous campaigns, and they say like, well, he's a good guy, he works really hard. But I guess nobody I know can give me an example of one pedo.
Max does work hard, but given some of his like, I saw one clip recently where
does he edit his own stuff? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of my ex coworker too much.
He was doing the
but he gives me like those MamaMax, Mr. Girl vibes, you know.
Shinrokyo cult or something, and people were pointing out like how his Discord, when he showed that he infiltrated, he had like admin roles, which meant that he created the Discord. I chalk up a lot of his like clips like that on his video, probably to him like because obviously he, like creates a dramatic recreation of something to film it for a camera. But I don't know much about like his work stopping pedophiles. Like I know that he hunts down individuals on like IMVU and like all these like.
The fuck is IMVU? I think I see cards of that in Walmart.
and social media services. I don't know if he's ever
Louis
like,
Bongiolati super
Louis
$2.
Bongioligo.
Mutahar always
Jesus
sounds
Christ.
like he's eating something.
Okay.
down the conviction route on any of them. That's something that I never went into.
I think
That's one of the
on a
reasons
podcast
why.
that he did get a conviction. Now people are asking if that's the case.
Like the only time I've ever worked on something with like child grooming and shit is probably like Kavas, but that also involved a case that had itself put in through to the legal system as well. There was actually a lot of those like aspects from that video that had to be cut or redone just because it actually gets in the way of law enforcement shit. So I don't know. Max, like I know he's a hard worker, but I don't know. I don't know what he does other than.
Has this put a lot more doubts into other stuff that he's done in the past now in hindsight?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I think I'm a little bit. I'm definitely growing more doubtful. I think a lot of these veiled threats that I saw that he sent to Lyric.
That one, he also sent one to me.
Veiled threat. Yeah, I mean they were pretty explicit.
When I didn't respond to his first DM or whatever for his first video, he wrote.
It's so funny because what I find so interesting about this MamaMax thing, and it really is very funny to me, is that he could have just not. He could have just done nothing. Like he released his super cringe call out video with about Voice Critical, which was dumb, and he could have just moved on. He could have finished this thing, whatever he normally does, and he could have just kind of moved on. And he decided to start answering nobodies. And again, I'm one of I am in the same category as a nobody. I'm not saying that I'm like better than anybody. But you're sitting here talking to like Nicholas Dioria or I'm so bad with names like Larynx. They just said his name to him. So fucking stupid. And it's like, these guys aren't super big or popular. Why are you responding to? And then since you did though, now all of a sudden people are realizing that you're full of shit. And now bigger names like Mutahar are watching and paying attention. Then you have it's just like, what are you doing? Why would you do this to yourself? You could have just said fucking nothing. You could have said nothing and you would have been so much better off. It's just so interesting.
Or like, your silence will not be unnoticed or something. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
This is just one of those things where it's like it's an over dramatization of a topic that shouldn't be overly dramatized. Like I would make his exact same investigation, but I would cut out the theatrics. Like,
would you do exactly the same?
No. I mean, I would absolutely investigate the situation, but I would present it in the normal fashion that I have, not dramatize it. I don't think this is the kind of stuff that should even be dramatized.
Well, it blows my mind that it chattered from this community. Was the person who asked him like, hey, because you were on the stream, right? I don't know if you saw this. They asked him, hey man, did you go to the cops for this story? And he's like, no, we didn't bother. Like he changed his position after that, and he's now saying that he wants to go to the police. Isn't that kind of mind-boggling?
Wait, he's talking to the police now?
So I think the last time
he never seemed to have any intention of actually going to the police. So.
Spoke to him at that point on like the first stream you guys spoke on. At that point, he hadn't talked to police yet. He'd said that in the past, Spencer or someone in his camp tried to reach out to the cops for this issue like years ago. So it didn't work out in their favor. So they just didn't even bother this time. And then after that call in this stream, he's now said like we've talked to lawyers and our idea is that now we're going to get everyone together and we're going to go to the police. But that's new. I
thought that he was talking to law enforcement and an attorney, even at the time me and him talked initially in that stream.
He probably made it seem like that because he knew that Mutahar needed like a higher level of credibility to support it. So he was like, yeah, Mutahar, we're obviously talking to the police.
So it turned out that that's what he says he does for his cases, but people are putting that into question after that last comment, like after what he'd said on that stream. Now they're wondering if he ever works with cops at all. There's a lot of questions, dude. This thing is really weird. And there's no real answers. Do you feel like you're talking to a brick wall sometimes when you're trying to give him advice?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll be real. The only reason I give the advice is just because like it literally is just I want to speak and just say something for the record mostly when it comes to the situations with Max, right? Like so people know that. Because one of the things that again it drives me insane. It's like his evidence that he showed me isn't exactly evidence that I would write home about. It's
oh, that's a good question. Knowing everything you've already seen without disclosing anything that would get you in trouble, is this something that you would now make a video on your channel to talk about?
No, I wouldn't ever.
Fuck. Jesus.
Damn,
wow.
dude. Damn. We just calmed down.
It's like unless something big and massive comes out, I wouldn't personally.
Maybe he'll show his vampire cock, and it'll be big and massive.
Didn't make a video
his
on that.
BBC, his VBC. BVC, big vampire cock. Yeah, that one makes more sense.
It's too one-sided. I like literally there doesn't seem to be a story like, and I'll say it from right now. It's just very much a lack of information on almost every on aspects of the story.
Well, I speculated the reason they're looking for new members or new people to discuss this is they're just hoping to God somebody has something. They're hoping that as the more that people they reach
probably
out to, somebody will have something usable. Do you get that feeling at all?
I mean, if they're trying to find like somebody that has been in the circle, being this public and already naming this guy wasn't the smart play.
Yeah, I know. Boblax is calling it Coney 2024, and that's kind of what it feels like, dude. Going back to the guys. Because again, every single YouTuber I talk to who's friends with Max gives like raving reviews to him as a person and stuff like that. And I've had good interactions with him privately when he doesn't talk to me in the Hotline Miami tone or whatever. Do you think there's a way out here? If you're Max with all the cards on the table, where do you?
Here's Max's way out here. Here's the way that I look at this Max thing on the way out. He's gotta go to the police. In all honesty, you want to know what he needs to do? He just needs to move on. I don't think that there's anything that MamaMax can say that'll rekindle his credibility. Because, I mean, he's already kind of fucked up. I don't even think an apology would work out. Because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like just move on to the next case. I don't know. Because would an apology like, hey, guys, sorry that I called this guy a vampire pedophile with zero evidence or proof in any real capacity? Like, how do you even apologize for that? I feel like he's like pedo jacking people. I don't know. What would you do? I don't know.
Where do you go from here?
Look, at the end of the day, I think Max's heart is always in the right place. I think he's a great dude.
I don't know if I believe that, to be honest with you. I think that Max is a fucking like a creepy scumbag that weaponizes people's potential trauma for views.
If you really feel that his case has the merit that he personally believes, he should absolutely hand it off. Not to a YouTuber, but he should find the best way to package and hand this off to somebody that...
Like a journalist?
A journalist or somebody that can liaison properly with a law enforcement agency. That's
pro bono
about it.
Lawyer, yeah.
And just somebody that
lawyer.
understands how to present this legally. So yeah, like a lawyer or a pro bono individual and pass it on
boner
to them or
lawyer.
something. Or, you know, get an expert on your team to help the victims out too, because I'm mostly worried about the victims in these situations, right? Like, obviously, like Max, he wants to help a victim, so he jumps in, gives his platform. The victims, they want to seek retribution against a horrible thing they face. But the longer this goes and the way that it goes, those victims aren't going to get any restitution. Right now, all the situation is doing is giving Camden Gerard Davis a pretty legitimate case, and I would assume defamation, right? And again, I know defamation is difficult to prove, but like, this is one of those situations where like, they haven't provided a single shred of evidence to show that this is all in even good faith, right? Like, there's been talks now of apparently these girls doing this out of vindication or bad faith, which is never good, you know? I mean, and that's one of the
bitches be tripping, dude.
Things that I hate.
You know why Mood is being so charitable here? I think that MamaMax has like a shred of perceived credibility left. And so it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I think maybe he's a good guy. Maybe I don't think his heart's in the right place at all. But, you know, it's one of those things, just being a human being, giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. I get it. But
to see, and Max is 100% responsible solely to make sure the story is delivered the right way or justice is handled the right way. If he's not doing that, then, you know, these girls are ultimately putting their stock into somebody that doesn't have the best intention for him.
Yeah, that's something that really upsets me in particular, because every single time he receives criticism on like, why are you doing these live streams, even to you, he said like, the victims want to be doing these live streams.
Yeah, which is dumb as fuck. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no way that they wanted to do live streams.
Well, they reached out to you, Max, because...
And even if they did, why wouldn't you just be like, no, that's not appropriate?
You have a history of doing things like this, supposedly. Maybe you should advise them that it's not best to debate Smaggle Daggle.
One of the things is...
Wait, what? We got to. Did they debate him on this? That's actually funny.
He was like, he says to me, like,
kind of based Smaggle, I think.
Yesterday, it's like, my platform is for the victims. I'm giving them my platform. I'm like, they didn't come to you to leech off of your subscriber count, unless that's literally the intention, right? Like, hey, I want to build my own platform. Let's just use this already established YouTuber and just start the snowball from there. No, they came to your platform because they understand how you operate. Like, if somebody comes to me and says, Mood, I want to use your platform to expose a scam, I'm not just going to let them upload a video onto my channel. I'm going to take what they've researched, I'm going to research on top of it, and then I'm going to present it my way, right? Like, that would be what is using my own platform.
My
right?
way,
like,
or the highway.
That is actually beneficial. Using it in my way to you know, talk about the story and everything. That's how I believe using you know, your platform works, right?
Yeah, and one of the major issues that I see with this that a lot of people are bringing up is his personal relationship with Spencer, his knowledge. She's like a close family friend to his that wasn't really disclosed in the very beginning. Do you see a conflict of interest, I guess, with them living together and being financially tied?
Absolutely. I mean,
well, yeah, I would say especially for her, like she kind of has to go along with it, because what's stopping Max from saying, like, oh, you can live here, I just need you to help me out with this case, and kind of, you know, almost making like, that's the thing, it's like she's always going to feel pressured to move whatever direction he wants. So I don't know, dude. I don't know.
The financial incentive is actually really, really good. Anytime I've ever covered any like scam case, whether it be crypto, anything, right? It has always been I've always had to mention, I'm like, there is no reward in this. There's no financial reward for you even assisting, by the way, too, right? Like, I have to make that a pretty evident fact. Just because like that is a conflict of interest. Finances become a serious conflict of interest, right? Like, if you have this person living at your house and, you know, they are basically living off of you, you know, you're paying for room, board, food, and everything, there's a pretty strong
Jarhead Devil Dog super chatted $4.99.
Hey, what up,
your
dude?
Wife are well, much love, Brody.
Love you too, brother. How you been?
insinuation that can be made from opposing counsel that, you know, you're probably getting this person or coaching them or doing God knows what to their original testimony. So that's one of the big things. It's like, if I'm ever working any case, there's not a reward to give. There's nothing to offer. We are literally doing this.
What about a kiss?
And that has to be, and I mean, honestly, I can tell you right now, it's probably cost me a few like witnesses or a few like pieces of information, but I mean, it's what you have to do to make sure everything's above board and your case has merit to it, you know?
You know, what you
the
said
worst
just
thing
now,
that can happen.
what you said just now pointed me in, because I totally didn't realize that, but that's kind of a huge thing when he's saying, like, I'm boosting Spencer's platform. We posted it on her channel so she could become independent and grow. Like, as in, like, this is a clout transaction a little bit. That seems like a pretty big deal.
Maybe they're in love. I don't know.
I'll put 2 and 2 together on that, so thank you.
I mean, like, the whole thing about it is, it's like, anytime you get, like, dude, money, anytime you get any exchange of a good, right? And exactly how you mentioned is, like, the clout transaction.
Maybe MamaMax is getting an exchange of that good, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, dude?
Any kind of transaction like that, it can look really bad if this kind of stuff ever goes to court or if somebody's ever trying to respond on another side. I mean, there are, like, even with the Gerard stuff, it's like a bunch of people who will say, you only did this for money and views, right? And it's like, well, obviously, I did this to make a living as well. Like, that's not a fucking shocking thing. But to say that I would make less or more money covering, you know, somebody like Gerard or Rubet or Steak, I mean, we're probably we're splitting hairs financially at that point, right? Like, it's not a make it or break it type of thing.
Yeah.
With, like, Spencer's case, it's like, either I'm fucking homeless or I'm living with somebody and now I do this.
Well, it seems like they tried to jump ahead of that one, because Spencer's like, well, I had other places to go. I didn't have to stay here, but it was like the perfect storm. But you can't say that about the YouTube channel growth. To say that, like, we're trying to build Spencer's platform and trying to grow her as like a content creator while she's doing this.
What kind of content creator is that, though? Just like a perpetual victim? So
story. Now it's like undisputable. She is benefiting from that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt that there's a benefit earned from covering this whole thing. Like, at the end of the day, when I saw her, like, podcast or whatever, the You Can't Hurt Me Anymore, #1, I'm like,
oh my god, she has a fucking podcast now? You Can't Hurt Me? What? That is, in my opinion, fucking insane. Where's her You Can't Hurt Me podcast? Oh my god. Oh yeah, I forgot. Wait, what? I guess I had taken a look at this before. What the fuck is this? What the fuck? What are you? Oh, I think I looked at this a while. I didn't realize this was supposed to be a podcast. MamaMax dancing for 10 hours. What is this? What the fuck? What is? Look at this. Look at the artistic nature of MamaMax dancing for 10 hours. Isn't this so beautiful? Wow. This is incredible. This is basically the next James Cameron. I don't know. Okay. This is insane.
Like, the realization of, okay.
What the fuck is this?
Is there anything you'd like to say to Camden?
Fuck you.
Oh, the monetization's gone.
Survived.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
If you need a break, just let me know.
Oh, she started it with a vape, dude. She's obviously, yeah, she's not, she what? No, who's gonna groom a vapor, you know? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
There's no way we're turning this, you know, this traumatic interview into like a potential series on YouTube, you know? Like, that's...
This feels a lot like Chris Hansen back when we were covering that together, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. It's pulling the same strings.
The thing about any of this kind of stuff, man, when we're covering like child exploitation shit, it's like it often feels like almost nearly every party involved in here can do some questionable practices when it comes to producing content or gaining clout, and they kind of hide behind the shield of, well, we're fighting for children. What are you doing? Criticizing us? It's like, I'll say that I've probably done more to help children myself than a lot of predator poaching channels on the internet, just by covering things like the Club Penguin server and private systems, by having Disney.
Can you say you've done more than Anthony Fantano? Because I think we should bring him into this conversation.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever done more than Anthony Fantano.
I don't get the meme.
Fucking definitely stop the fucking shit. Like, we should have got him on the Epstein situation instantly, bro.
Dude, his video on R. Kelly was a banger, bro.
Exactly, dude. No, but like even with Max, it's like, and I'll just say it right now. Privately, he sent me the whole message where it's like me appearing on Tommy and fucking Lyrics' stream. They had it. A lot of, I guess, people on that server had a doubt, and it's like I'm not showing up on these people's stream to like crap on you or anything. That's not a thing. But those people are raising some pretty valid points, right? Like Lyrics, for all things considered, yeah, he's like a fucking more raunchy guy, but I chalk that more up to his youth than anything. But what he's saying isn't necessarily out of pocket. You know, I might just be saying what Lyrics is saying with like, you know, some more
being a little bit more of a mature, credible person. Sure,
maturity applied to it, I guess, is the best way to put it. But Lyrics wasn't wrong, right? Like you got to have evidence. You got to make sure you don't go into these situations 100% on emotion, and that's it.
Well,
you know,
I don't know if I speak for you on this. So I won't immediately assume that it's the same.
Max asked Fantino to boost the story. What? Why? What did Anthony Fantino say to that? That's weird.
I want to address this to Max because I'm sure I'll get the same DM in the next 24 hours, 48 hours for the stream that I did today.
Maybe.
And it's like, if you don't want my opinion, don't ask me to watch your fucking videos. I won't watch another video you ever send me if that's what you want. But I'm not going to go live and tell everybody that Camden Gerard Davis is a fucking vampire, pedophile.
Yeah, I won't do it unless you give me some of your Patreon money, of course. Then I'll do it. But you got, where's my offer?
Leviathan, child porn consuming monster. If you're not going to go and
yeah, you should have went to Boogie. He probably would have done it. That's a fair point.
produce that publicly. So
that's fair.
Document it based on your history alone. Your
that's a good. That's a solid point, sir.
Don't ask if you don't want.
I mean, and that's, you know what the thing is, that is 100%. That's like 100% like what I have to say if anything too. It's like, this is a story that like right now, based on everything I've seen, I don't know if I can 100% believe anything. Like I don't know if I can 100%. Dude, I hate to always say like, man, these girls are victims. They came up to me and they're like, you know, this is what happened, and I'm like, look, I don't know what happened to you, and I'm sorry about all the trauma and horror you go through. But it's like, if I'm gonna like think about it,
may have gone through.
If I'm gonna cover somebody and potentially ruin their entire life and standing in the world, I gotta have definitive proof.
Do you feel like he's standing behind them? Do you think he's? Do you feel like that? Because that's why I insinuated off what you.
I think he's standing. Yeah, he's using it as a shield.
You feel like he's standing
These
behind
girls?
the victims? Yeah.
I think
Max standing behind. Like, as I thought that he meant like as a shield. Yeah, I don't know that he. Listen. I don't think MamaMax gives a fuck about anything. I don't know. He just doesn't. I don't read it like that. I could be wrong. But there's something a little disingenuous about the guy. Something a little slimy about the guy. I don't know. So.
Max believes and stands behind the victims, but I don't think.
No,
that,
I mean
like,
using him as a human shield by standing behind them. Not like
yeah, okay, that was right.
I'm gonna say no, just because like I have a little bit of bias. I can't imagine that he would do that. That's like, I don't know. I mean, I would hope not.
I could. He seems the type.
No,
well,
that's really
what I would say too. But
yes, Mr. Beast, Joe Rogan, and Anthony Fantino. Oh wow, did any of them respond?
every single time he gets criticism,
Joe Rogan, help me, help me. Fuck, it's not funny. Joe Rogan. I can't do the voice. I have a little weird sore throat. I was going to say something about vampires and make a joke, but I just don't have it in me. Sorry.
streams. He's like, well,
I will say yesterday on the stream when I was talking to him, it definitely felt like when he was leaving the room constantly and having sort of Spencer be the face of the discussion. That's what it kind of started feeling like to me.
Well, he did it to you directly. So you were asking him about the situation, and he turned around and he said, "Listen, I am a platform for the victims. What the victims want me to do is what I do." So that's why that's what I'm using.
They wanted me to go on YouTube.
Using to come to that conclusion because when you're hitting him with legitimate criticism, and his response back is, "Well, I'm a vessel for the victims," and
actually, that's a really good catch actually from you. Now that I think about it, that is actually what it really does sound like.
Because he kept saying, he was like, "Why are people doing this?" And then like he would continue repeating that line the whole stream, for person to person, every single time it comes up. I'm a vessel for.
He's probably used to being able to do that, to just say like, "Oh, well, I'm fighting for victims, so you can't criticize me." He probably used to work for him a lot. So
the victims, I gave the victims my platform. I think maybe it's just me that the person who's being asked for help is Max, so Max should be advising the victims. It should never be a case like that. It should be his responsibility.
I mean, it's his platform. He has a responsibility to present the story right. You know, these victims came up to him, but it's like, dog, if you go up to the New York Times and tell them about a story, the New York Times is going to act like the way the New York Times is. They're not going to act on your whim and your recommendations. At that point, you're collaborating with a storyteller, a documentarian, and you're the subject. It's like, I mean, that's just understood. That's basic. But yeah, the way that you're putting it, yeah, it definitely does sound like there's plausible deniability, right? Like if things go fucking south, it's not Max that's making these statements, it's the victims, right? The victims are the ones calling Camden Gerard Davis the pedophile, and I mean, dude, I'm just saying legally, like this case, they're giving a case over to this guy, and I don't know if any party involved there really knows that.
Yeah, no, that's actually, he does notice that because he told Lyrics, I think you saw the messages where he's like, this live stream, if viewed by Camden Gerard Davis, could pose a threat to the victims' lives. It's like, well, that's Lyrics' fault for posting it, not your fault for doing it.
Why the fuck would you even post it in the first place, though?
Doing it even after everyone told you it was a bad idea to debate every single YouTuber on your allegations.
Wasn't that thing only leaked because Max sent that to Lyrics?
Oh no, it's even better. He started inviting YouTubers into the call, and the person's Discord name was their name. So Max, not realizing that, brought in a bunch of people who were showing the Discord call on stream because they were talking to Max, and then it had their full name in it. So it doesn't. Make any sense
another example of how this is so poorly handled by Max in the situation where like it's not Lyrics' fault. It's his fault for like leaking.
Oh, he wouldn't know. Yeah.
I've told Max this. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, I think when Max was telling Lyrics that, I really do think it was like, this stream made me look like an idiot last night. Please remove it because I don't want people to fucking view this. I really did feel that's what it was like.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just say that? Be like, I look really dumb. I've fucked up. Please remove it. Maybe people would be more likely to do it.
It was at 2:30 in the morning, right after he got bombed.
Yes, PewDiePie And appealed to his child to try to get him to respond. Ew, that's weird, dude.
Yeah.
He ended off the stream being like, "See you never, guys."
Well, even with like lyrics, it's
See you never. Cool. That's pretty cold, dude.
like lyrics
It's like in a 1990s movie.
should never even have to remove that kind of stuff ever. It's like you didn't. If we're going by the idea of full names aren't PII, then lyrics had no legal reason to
Well, he's
remove
saying,
that,
man,
you
it's
know?
not doxing. It would just be like,
Yeah.
but he's willing to try to flag it and roll that dice. I guess. I don't know. It just pisses me off.
So this is where like the bridge is kind of on that, like we're talking like the gasoline is already poured, right? All that's needed is the fucking match to be tossed there is when he was threatening to use a YouTube connection, or I guess implying that, to remove a channel,
That's
right?
like
For
Suzy
something
Lou
that-
type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
and
what
that's
that
not
is.
something I know Max knows, and I know that's not something I would ever fucking co-sign or be okay with. Like fuck that shit. There's no, like the only time I ever contacted YouTube to ever deal with the channel is when, like, just very recently, that one guy
The
was
child
like,
porn channel, right?
yeah, exactly. And that's understandable.
What? There was a child. What? What is that?
Well, nobody's gonna fucking sit there and debate
Okay.
that unless you got something
Collins
on your
Cruel
drive.
super chatted $4.
What up, Collins Z Cruel?
Max seems to be taking this Team Jacob thing a little too seriously, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a good point, man. But I understand. I mean, Jacob is better than Edward. So
And you're a little suspicious, but no, when somebody's criticizing
who doesn't like a nice indigenous wolf?
you, and they've leaked out a name that you don't even consider to be PII, and you've said that it doesn't follow under YouTube's rules, you shouldn't fucking be telling him to remove that kind of content. It really feels like he wanted to remove that information just because it makes him look, not at his best.
I mean, if this Camden, whatever, if this guy saw that, wouldn't he just be able to identify the person based on their voice anyway? If he, so why would it matter?
I mean, if you really wanted that stream up, you would just rush to cut that entire back end off, and you would put up all the girls' testimonies, because that was what the first half of the stream was. And maybe I'm going crazy here, but I'm assuming when the girls said that they wanted to live stream, they meant the first half where they talked about their experiences with Camden Gerard Davis, and not the second half where a woman with a southern drawl undressed their fucking friend in front of them and fucked him on the fucking stream. Like,
What? Dude, what is happening?
I'm sorry, I can't imagine any girl was like, "You really got to debate Xylee
Part of
gets
the
real."
part of the response
Oh,
that's going to
okay.
happen from Max is he's going to blame the commentary channels if things go wrong, right?
Sure.
Because now you guys are putting all of your effort and focus, I guess, onto him instead of Cameron Gerard Davis. When at the end of the day, the real situation should be the commentary channels are telling you to shut the fuck up and start working with law enforcement, because that's all you're doing. You're only causing harm to these.
I mean, like, listen, I don't know. So far, when I've seen it, it seems to all be fine. But there might be disproportionate criticism from like commentary channels. Maybe that's true. Even if it's justifiable criticism, maybe it's disproportionate. I don't really know. But all you can really do is just operate correctly, which is like go to the police. Or so.
victims.
Well,
And
do you
that's
think
it,
if
right?
it wasn't MamaMax, he'd be given this much leeway? I mean, this has been going on for
Oh, probably not.
like a couple months, and people are only now starting to really turn on him. He lost his audience. I think his Patreon started to get hit a little bit. His Reddit has turned on him. I just can't imagine if I'm Alex did this, people would be as charitable for as long.
Who the
I mean,
fuck was that?
it's like the Gerard shit, right? Like for a while, people were like shocked.
Thank you so much for the 11-month small gut, Cal. First time catching a stream. Love you. I love you too.
Stunned, and they were like, "Oh, you guys are like clout chasers." If you build up a great audience, a great community, if you build up a great rapport over the years, it makes people question things. But I mean, look, right now,
How did he even build up a great rapport? Like, did he ever make content that was like good? Of the limited stuff I've seen of him, he doesn't seem like a particularly credible individual. Maybe he used to make really good stuff, or does he just like never made any good stuff, and he was just able to somehow skirt by because people were too afraid to criticize the weird guy, like basically just hiding behind like, oh, well, I'm going after kids kind of a thing. And I feel like that's probably more it. I feel like it's more just him being able to say, well, I'm trying to help kids, so you must be a bad person if you criticize me.
the fact of the matter is, none of what Max is doing is helping. None of what Max is doing for the victims is good. If any other YouTuber was doing this, I would say we would all be more critical. You're 100% right. And in Max's
Moist
case, we should be
critical.
100% critical.
Well, people
I might,
have been criticizing you similar to the way people have been criticizing the Gerard people, because you know how Carl came out and all these people started saying, Gerard's a really nice guy. I don't know if he's capable of doing something like this. And I've been seeing that kind of thrown towards you. I've been seeing that thrown towards Nux. I've been seeing that thrown towards Nextpro, all in a similar context for Max. It's like, well, he's like a really good guy. He would never do something like that. Do you kind of see where that comes from?
Well, he's a
Yeah, I mean,
cute,
we
he's
all
a
we're
handsome
humans. We have
boy.
our fucking biases. I get that. And
Well, yeah, I mean, Woodhart just said that like 2 minutes ago now.
especially with Max, but I will say this right now with Max, it's like, given the situation, I'm not afraid to burn or cut bridges or ties or friendships with people that aren't treating this situation with the respect it deserves, right? Like,
Yeah, no, I think people will see this conversation in that light, that you were willing to come on here and actually discuss this and research this and actually tell Max that the stuff wasn't actionable, that you wouldn't even make a video given the new information if you were allowed to.
if this information was solid, I would have made a video already, because it doesn't take me too much time to compile things and research and bring about like the story. Because I'm not like flashy as Max would be, but also it's like I can present the situation and
Well, I mean, yeah, the flashiness is dumb, though, right? Wouldn't you want to produce the information faster instead of being all flashy about it? Just for like, it's so bizarre.
I'll sit and present.
It feels like you don't take it seriously when you make all this like weird artistic bullshit out of it. Like you're not doing a movie. It's just so bizarre.
the situation. It just has to be a situation that is presentable, right? Like based on what I've seen, it's like like
Yeah, the first thing I saw about him was that whole girlfriend thing too.
like
Yeah.
I wouldn't co-sign on this investigation based on everything I've seen so far, the lack thereof, and I will say that 99% of channels on YouTube probably wouldn't co-sign yet, and there's a reason why they haven't, you know.
Yeah. Thank you very much for answering. I have one more question, and you can tell me if you want to answer it or not. But I have a very angry chatter right now who is who's asking about it. Are you familiar with Magnetar?
Who's Magnetar?
Magnetar is the guy that Max is claiming is a pedophile.
Yeah, he's clearly not.
Now, apparently on stream, when you were discussing, and again, I don't want to jump you with this, so you stop me. But apparently on stream, I guess it was with Leon Lush or something, you were talking about the allegations. You're like, well, apparently that guy's like a pedo too or something. That's what he said today to me on stream. I guess, do you kind of have reservations?
Do I know that guy on a different name by any chance?
Anthony Fields, that was his full name, I believe.
Was that the guy in the Believe All Accusation shit?
That was the guy who made the video with the girls.
Okay.
I guess
and that's the guy that Max called a pedophile at the end?
Max claimed that he like sent his cock to like a 15 or a 14-year-old girl or something.
I actually had a talk with that guy too around that time as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact nature of it, but did I call him a pedophile?
Well, he seems to think you did. I don't know for a matter of fact that that's the case. My question is, do you look at what was said in that video the same way, knowing that Max is not being super truthful here? Do you think it's possible that some of that stuff might not have been that investigation?
I mean, yeah, probably not. And if honestly, if
if he sent his dick to a 15-year-old at 18, he's not a pedophile at all. That's not what pedophilia is. It's sure, wrong, I guess. I mean, again, I don't really care too much about 15 and 18. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. It might be inappropriate. It's not predatory. I've got a couple people like, no, it's absolutely disgusting. It's like, I disagree. It's not that big of a deal. I don't think that you're in, if it was my kid that was the 18 or 15-year-old, I would stop that. I'd be like, you can't do that. But I wouldn't look and go like, oh my God, this is horrifically predatory. It's certainly not pedophilia. It meets like zero the actual qualifications to be as such. But even if you find it uncomfortable, like, words do matter. You can't just go around calling somebody a pedophile when it's literally not that. You could just be like, hey, I think it's inappropriate and wrong.
I don't remember exactly calling him that. I feel like I should, but if I did, I definitely owe Magnetar an apology. Like, unless there's a fucking, 100% confirmed thing. Yeah, if I did, I 100% apologize. I don't co-sign on anything like that. I don't. Was that on my podcast? Because you mentioned Leon
Magnetar said you can get us a clip if you're interested.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Send me a clip over here.
I see people in chat saying it was a light co-sign or saying a possible pedo. So that might have been the claim that upset him. But yeah, I guess like it's after all the stuff that's happened here. I imagine a lot of people are kind of reflecting on Answer Us PedoTube and the other one. Pick a side. YouTube versus pedophiles. Realistically, this is the first time he did like a mass call to action where everyone kind of turned around and were like, no, I don't want to do that. But previous years, everyone was like, you, this guy fucking hunts pedophiles. Who are you to stop him? Or something like that. Oh, last thing. We'll go back to the Anthony thing if he sends the stuff. But you're actually very educated on how the like the caching works for like the Mega account. So I was wondering if you can kind of explain that to chat because we talked about it. We were much smarter than me in this.
This is where I have a real issue with Max right now. This is where this is actually what the gasoline on the bridge is for. So Max, for anybody wondering, he got his Mega folder taken down for CSAM or violent extremism.
Didn't he have like fucking child porn or something on that Mega folder? Or am I wrong with that?
Or bestiality or something of that nature. Now the way that Mega works is they actually don't have like a whole the way that any of these organizations work is they don't actually have any actual images of child pornography sitting on their drives or cross-reference. That's just not a thing. In fact, in the actual field of law enforcement, there's only probably going to be like 1 or 2 people in that chain that actually see child sexual material in its raw form for cataloging, archiving, evidentiary reasons.
Yeah.
Usually, every organization stores what we know as hashes, which is a digital sort of hash file, a fingerprint file that basically confirms that there is child pornographic material present in photographs and video. So when you record a video or record a photo, it goes through a system and it captures every single thing on the video as a hash, right? Now I'm kind of giving a very layman's explanation, but usually when you see a hash calculated and law enforcement verifies the hash, that means that it is pretty much child pornography. Now, it isn't to say that there aren't false positives or issues.
Is it possible it could be animal abuse material of some kind? Does it have to be child pornography? Because I know that Max in the past...
I mean, I don't know if... Yeah, animal abuse material, it could be like a dead animal or something, or like animal violence, especially if it's like a very...
What if it's like a hamburger?
Famous video that could be used during a law enforcement thing. What people have to understand is nothing in a hash file is going to be something that, from my understanding, that hasn't been cataloged in a system, right? So if you take a naked picture of yourself that's under the age of 18 and you upload that, it's not going to be something that is picked up, right? Or it's something that's going to be tripping any hashes because you've never been, like, that image has never been sent to law enforcement agencies or whatnot, right?
Okay, I'm getting. I think I'm starting to understand. So the only things that they'd have cataloged are things that they are aware of.
But when it comes to like known child material, right? Like something that has touched legal eyes, something that has been cataloged in the NCMEC or the Federal Bureau or something, that if it gets picked up by anyone, whether it be Google's like YouTube CSIA match or Microsoft's photo DNA, Apple does it periodically on suspicious devices where they'll check the image hashes. That if anything gets tripped there, what's going to happen is it's going to get removed from iCloud, it's going to get removed from any cloud service provider, and then they're going to send a tip to NCMEC, which is going to work with that relevant area's law enforcement agency. So that's my understanding of it too. I don't know. Like, what did Max tell you about necessarily what was in that? Like, did you?
No,
question
but
it
I
all?
speculated because again, Comic Cop is pointing this out to me right now, and he said that the mega shit, the link was from a video for his puppy stomping video, so it could be a puppy that's been stomped potentially. That could be tripping this.
Damn, somebody's legitimately stomping. I mean, I like to make jokes about dogs and stuff, but somebody's stomping out fucking puppies? That's fucked up.
Regardless, though, why would that
Unless it's a pit bull, then I get it.
material need to be on them? Or why would he need to store that material on his Mega Drive? Why wouldn't that just be something that's sent to authorities? I guess is my concern. Why would you ever be in possession of material that could be potentially tripping off something like this?
I'm actually reading through like
I don't know. So he potentially had some inappropriate images in his like Mega Drive. I don't know. I mean, he might just constantly tell himself that he's like the savior of puppies and children, and that like whatever he has on him is fine and it doesn't matter. And if anybody ever went after him, he would just be like, no, I'm defending puppies and children. I don't really know. I mean, I don't think he's jerking off to puppies or kids for that matter. I just think he's kind of a fucking creep, but just kind of a scumbag. But hey, who the fuck am I? Who the fuck am I, right?
so.
You think he's gooning to puppies? You think he's on that puppy gooner?
One of the things he told me, this is about the Mega situation. There were multiple predators, dick pics, and videos of them masturbating as evidence specifically for law enforcement. Let me grab the video.
Gross.
The video that he linked me to was mylol.apk. Did you see that video?
Oh, my LOL. Wow.
Oh wait, that's true. I forgot.
Are you even taking this seriously, dude? You're gonna call it my LOL?
He did kind of throw a wait.
MamaMax.
Oh, I want to pull that up too. He did throw a random response saying it was that. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking
Okay,
about.
so he timestamped an example of what was included in the drive, his words, which was the full video of Italian come for you masturbating.
Okay, sorry. I'm fucking thrown off. Italian come for you masturbating. Incredible.
Well, I was messaging him under the guise of being a minor. Now, if that's an adult masturbating and it hasn't, like, I don't understand how that could trip a CSEM hash.
Yeah, that
being
makes
an
no
adult.
sense at all.
Yeah, and also if you're pretending to be a minor, you're not going to trip a CSEM hash because you're also like that wasn't a registered like child pornography. You know, it wasn't put into a system and like law enforcement said, yeah, that's child pornography.
Yeah,
I can
right.
make a video
I
of
get
myself
that.
doing a sting operation and pretend to be like a fucking 14-year-old poorly, of course. And law enforcement's never going to put that in because biologically at the time of filming, I wasn't 14, and that video isn't CSEM material. So that explanation
Okay.
rubs me the wrong way, and I can't
Slidey
buy it just
Weasley
because I know how that system works. And you're not really going to trip a hash if it already isn't in the system. As you know,
Yeah,
'cause
I
that's how it
actually have
works.
his response right here. So this is supposedly what he said. The only issue is he's removed the stream where he says this. This is now gone, and he hasn't re-uploaded it. That's the most recent live stream. But apparently it was logged by the people on his subreddit that he had addressed the mega upload. He claims that it's taken down because the videos of pedophiles jacking off were stored from his MyLol video. He does not acknowledge how mega upload detects questionable content, as you said, or the issue and reason behind the ban is still unclear, as his claim is unsubstantiated.
If
So,
that is the explanation,
I mean, if maybe I'm mishearing the translation, but if his argument is like he doesn't really know, but he thinks that it's this, that, or the other thing, I mean, maybe.
pedophiles
then
jacking
it is-
off would not trip
it is,
that, right?
that would 100% not trip off anything because that would never be admitted into a system as CSEM material, and it would never exist as a hash. Therefore, it would never be cross-referenced with any other agency, and it would never trip off that system. So
Interesting.
that explanation holds no water.
Well, what if the pedophile had a really small penis and they thought it was a child's penis? Did they ever think of that?
It's possible that the puppy stomping video could have also tripped it, but
It
there
could
could
have,
be
but if
other
he's
examples that have also tripped
Yeah.
it, and that's what
But-
flags everything.
But this is the example he told me was mylol.apk.
Yeah, apparently that's what he told his audience was MyLol.
So again, it wouldn't like I don't know why we're extrapolating
I mean, maybe he just fucking falsely. I don't know. Maybe he just is dumb and didn't realize that wasn't the right one.
into that almost sounds like we're making an excuse almost, right? Like
No,
if he's
because
not
there
telling
is
us
a
that it's
difference. So the
fucking
reason why Comment Cop said what he did is if you go to other ones, people are posting other screenshots. There's another, like on non-offending material that was taken down, you'll see stuff like this. It'll say, this link is unavailable as the user's account has been closed for a gross violation of Mega's terms of service. But on offending material, you're getting stuff like, this folder was reported for containing objectionable content such as child exploitative material, violent extremism, bestiality. So like different folders, when you look up his old Mega, you have different responses. The assumption was that the puppy stomper video tripped something.
Just think about it like this too, right? Like a puppy stomping video isn't bestiality unless there's like a part of it where you're sticking your dick in the animal, right? Like that's not going to trip bestiality. So let's
That's a little weird.
assume that it's just Animal Crush. Well,
Yeah.
that's not gonna that wouldn't be admitted as a hash. I mean, it's up to half, but that wouldn't trip that.
You don't think so? You don't think like stomping on puppies would be flagged? I was okay.
You think he needs to
Maybe.
have done
I mean, he knows more than me, but I feel like I would. That's sad. That's it. That's fucking just sad, brother. That's just fucking sad.
It's like really stupid.
It would have to be really stupid. Violent extremism, like what would violent extremism come into? Wouldn't that just be like I don't know if you had the
I thought it'd be
Christchurch video?
terrorist shit. My chat seems to think it's violent extremism. I thought violent extremism, that's like beheading
Yeah.
people, right?
Well,
Not killing a
it
puppy,
would be.
killing
It
a
would
puppy.
probably be that, but it would be like violent extremism would be like fucking the Christchurch shooter, right? Like,
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
Like what, Matter an Hour? They removed that video from the internet. The only place you could watch it at was like the fucking Kiwi Farms or something. So it would be something like that, CE like child exploitation material. I mean, these are only 3 options that they give. Is that literally the only 3 options, or do they just have that? As,
This
like,
is just the one.
examples?
There's a whole report that you can find on the internet that talks about exactly what they choose to take down. But this is what was given on his exact Mega. So it's a child exploitative material, violent extreme. But it's such as. So these are just examples. It could be a variety of things. I have someone in chat asking about doxing the guy's mother. You've already stated that. You've already kind of.
Oh yeah, it's a dumb thing to do. You shouldn't be doing that. It's a hot take. Like, it's just weird. Like, he's calling for people to harass this woman based on zero evidence that he's a pedophile to get more evidence. It doesn't really make any sense. I mean, there's really nothing going on except like, hey, I know somebody who had a bad time. That's pretty much it. I know somebody who had a bad time with him. So harass the mother and until you get in more proof of that he did it. So we actually have a case. It's just weird.
Poked fun at his definition of doxing on this, so I'm not really sure. I'm assuming what your opinion is on this, but do you think it was necessary to contact his immediate family in the video?
I don't think it was important to ever get in touch with the family members. What the f are they going to add?
Yeah,
I mean, if you want, first of all, that's a good point. But second of all, even if you wanted to, you wouldn't constantly tell people to harass the fucking family members relentlessly. You know, you would you might reach out to them, and if they have no comment, you just kind of move on. I feel like that's illegal. I haven't heard of a single actual journalist doing that, and maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it's illegal. That's like harassment, no?
I assumed you'd say that. That's why I didn't initially bring it up, but people were asking. All right. Well, I don't want to keep too much of your time, but I really appreciate you coming on and kind of.
I really appreciate you coming.
I know you've been on Tommy's streams and stuff recently.
I really appreciate you.
It's got to be annoying to kind of. I don't
coming.
know. He's asking a shitload of content creators to help him out, and then you help him out. And now it seems like you're so wrapped up in this thing, and like your word.
Yeah. Well, I could see why he would want to set the record straight, so people don't think he can he can maintain his credibility or whatever.
Yeah.
Allegations are law, and you have to go correct that right now or something.
Yeah, I mean, like the only thing I just want to finally correct off is like what I said to the Magnetar guy. Like, I guess if I said something out.
Magnetar, have you sent me anything? Well, let me just make sure because I want to get that done for you.
Magnetar.
I haven't gotten anything from Magnetar. Does anyone have the Magnetar clip
me?
that we could pull up, or does anyone know what stream it was from? Because I can try to get that as quick as possible, just so we can tie a little bow on the end of this. Because I know he was looking forward in particular. Magnetar, can you show Muda the clip from Max and Lyrics where Max says that I'm a pedo and says repeatedly that he has no evidence? Well, I mean, I can show him that, but I think it seems like he kind of already understands the situation.
Yeah, I just want to know where I said a statement so I can retract it or explain it further.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's looking for. Do you have that, Magnetar?
Yeah, like unless I'm definitively calling you something else.
Queeman has it.
Queef man, what the fuck?
Coolman, I totally said that wrong. Either Chud or Lyrics recently watched it too. Anybody with a timestamp, because I don't want to keep him here too long, but I do think this is a good thing to end this note on. Look at Queeman. Did Queeman send it? Oh, is he here? Is Queeman in chat? No, I don't think Queeman's even awake. He's a Brit. Let me see. Yandere,
I mean, like the only reason you probably called him mom on is if like he's still living there or something, but I don't know. Nobody knows the whereabouts of this guy, so.
Wait, Queeman is in chat? He's awake? Jesus, little fucking bonger. Can you send me the link? Or send me a link to your stream where you show the clip?
Sorry, my mommy texted me. She wanted to, I'm hanging out with her today.
Because the last thing you
try to see my mother once a week. Very important as you get older, guys. Make sure you see your parents or whatever parent was active once a week. Okay, this way. And I gotta go help her out too because I gotta like put away her Christmas stuff too. You know.
It's been on stream about the last month.
But again, just keep hanging out with your parents. Don't let that relationship die.
Slugs from
See, sent to the Smaggle, the genius, has given me the clip.
Let's watch this.
Oh, and Queeman gave it to me actually at 10:42. I didn't say it.
Smaggle,
I'm gonna put Queeman's
genius.
link because it is infuriating that Smaggle has gotten so much right on the story. I will screen share with you so you can watch.
I really don't understand the Smaggle hate. You know, from what I remember, he was probably one of the best. You know.
Together. So it was your podcast with Nux. This is some ordinary podcast. Okay.
Right.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Make sure they see my screen. Get this full.
Whoa, the VTuber! I forgot about this guy. Okay.
You gotta watch the whole 7 minutes here.
Oh, is it the whole 7 minutes? Maybe Queeman fucked up. Oh no, he gave it to me.
Transcript to win out. Okay.
Here, it's the 5:40. Let me make sure.
Shit. Exposing Mudahar.
Give me a different timestamp.
And he mentions the guy making the video. I'm like, oh.
Okay, this is it. I don't know.
Yeah, like it was so weird because when I watched the Max video, like when I got to the end, and I had it running like on the TV behind me while I was working on something here, and like it got to the point where I was at the end of the video, I look around and it's like 6 out of 5, and then he mentions the guy making the video. I'm like, oh, what happened with this guy? And then he says he's a pedophile, and I'm like, I just stop right there. I'm like.
He's a good showman, Max. He makes good content. You gotta hand it.
I don't know. There's something necessarily wrong with that yet, but let's keep going.
Hold on. Rewind that 30 seconds. Wait, what?
And then he showed a clip of his sister saying that the guy that's making the
Leon Lush looks like super fucking uncomfortable.
Organized the video was sending like dick pics to 15-year-olds and stuff.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend were following the whole thing like crazy because it was like me and my girlfriend were like, we know Max, so it's like we just want to know this whole fucking thing, and me and her were blown away by the bombshell. We're like, what the fuck? Like, how can this? It's like you got to imagine, like, if you're the guy running these things and you have a possible history.
I mean, to be honest, looking at it from his perspective, Max is this guy who obviously has a chip on the shoulder and hates this dude, right? And he's making videos about catching pedophiles. He's just scared. Then one of the videos will be about him. So he's trying to discredit Max first. That was the impression I got.
Is he the dude that helped orchestrate the video between the girls? Is that the
idea?
That's
the dude. Group chat and he organized the video, which is really
imagine
stunning.
that. Imagine that. The projection. Oh my god, that's so fucking.
This guy was tagging.
Yeah, it sounds like they're pretty heavily leaning into this guy's a pedophile.
So I remember the day it happened.
Like it's frustrating when because like anytime you hear sending a dick pic to a 15-year-old, it's never pedophilia, but it's always like, oh my god, that's fucking weird. Unless you know the age of the person, that's why like depending on like what if the person was 16? Oh, it's not so bad, right? You really should prioritize getting the ages of all parties involved before making some kind of a moral prescription. But
and he was immediately tagging me, he was tagging Charlie, and he was tagging Nexpo the whole time.
Even I got tagged. There was this Google Drive thing. I got tagged,
yeah, like we just kept getting tagged, and then because he kept tagging, like I had a bunch of like DMs like, how do you support like an abuser? And I'm like,
oh my god,
bitch, it ain't even confirmed yet. What do you want me to?
Literally, yeah. It's what someone uploaded a G drive with some screenshots. Okay, bro.
Like the most I said, I'm like, listen, if Max actually did something wrong, I'm open to hearing the other sides. Like even if you're my friend, I'll still.
All right, so I assume that's the issue for what Magnetar has. Is you guys joking around saying he's clearly projecting and saying that like if you have a potential history of something like this. Meanwhile, from Magnetar's perspective, Max just straight up made something up. He said to me today that he thinks that like he could know that there's like a potential girl in his past or whatever that Max could be pulling on strings in real life, but this is just a completely fabricated story. So I don't know why he would have to.
So I'm just gonna say it to Magnetar. I'm gonna be like, listen, I get the fucking big dick energy, but you made it sound like I was blatantly calling you a pedophile. Nowhere in that clip that I hear that I called you.
Well, it seems like the energy of the podcast is. It sounds like Nux kind of did. And the speculation was that he was projecting or whatever. I get why he would be frustrated.
Pedophile? I was literally reacting to a bombshell drop in a video. And I'll pretty much leave it at that, okay? That's pretty much what it comes down to. If you felt that I wasn't super charitable to you, then it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But I did not call you a pedophile. That is insane to assume out of it. Like, that is... I'm sorry to say, that's really fucking retarded, but you know what? It is what it is. Let's move past it. But yeah, definitely not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I'm sorry, I will say, that was not a blatant, like, statement of fact, okay? It was, at the time, there was an insane, like, bombshell drop, and that's what I was talking about. He made an insane bombshell drop in a video. That's what I'm getting at.
In regards to the initial allegation, I guess, that was levied by Max. So are you saying that like your position now and then hasn't changed, that you're still waiting on more information? Or do you think that
what?
Well, I guess looking at it then and looking at it now, I guess has anything that's happened changed your position? I don't know what your position was then, but I'm assuming you're saying it was just like I'm reacting to the bombshell, so you didn't have a position there then?
Yeah, I'm reacting to the bombshell. I didn't have a hardline position then, but I will give you some I will give you some like fucking I will concede and say I should definitely have been more careful in saying that, and I will definitely go in further. But I did not, in any capacity, 100% finger you as a pedophile. That
finger me.
That is how I believe this whole situation was going at. Obviously, I probably should have been careful there, but that's what it comes down. I said it was shocking to hear. It was shocking to hear. It was a shocking bombshell drop, and the way that Max presented in a video, and that's if we watch the video again. In its production quality, that 6 out of 5, I can explain exactly how that hit, but that's what it comes down to.
Do you have an issue with anybody? I don't know. You can't speak for anyone else on there, but do you have an issue with anything Nux said in that clip, or anything that I guess Leon said, or are you content with the clip as seen?
I mean, maybe like fucking.
Yeah, I feel like he addressed it. I feel like we're all good there.
Ooh, was it me that said that? Like when you got a history, was it Leon that said it? I feel like whoever said it.
It's right here.
The whole thing like crazy because it was like because me and my girlfriend were like, we know Max, so it's like we just want to know this whole fucking thing, and me and her were blown away by the bombshell. We're like, what the.
Because that is true. You were talking about the bombshell.
Like, how can this? Yeah. It's like you gotta imagine, like, if you're the guy running these things and you have a possible history.
I mean, that
is my fuck up.
That's what I'm saying. Is, and I think that's why the chat is kind of upset with you. Is it?
Yeah, that's my fuck up then. If I said possible history,
it comes as a viewer. I think you come away thinking that you believe this. It's not just you reacting to the bombshell. They think, oh, okay, Mudahar thinks this is real.
No, that is my fuck up.
Can you retract your R slur, please?
100%. I can own that. That is.
Yeah, I see why that guy's pissed.
Not. I definitely should have been careful. I can see like where somebody could be insinuating. I did not, in any capacity at the time, even like 100% add that as a definition. If my thing is with a definite claim, I definitely will just say you are a pedophile and you fuck children. If I 100% believe it.
Whoa!
At the time when he showed that drop in the video, and I believe it was like when something about like applying to a job in the White House or something.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was a pedophile and he's applying for the White House. Might be a good fit, dude.
Chat did say thank you, Muda. No hard feelings. So I'm glad that we reached that outcome there.
I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, it's like after all of the shit that is given here, after at least the last 48 hours on that last live stream that I was on, I'm more partial to like Magnetar at this point, right? But I don't know. It's a tough thing. I will say, like, hearing that clip again, and it definitely, I will say, like, if I made it insinuate, honestly, if I ruined anything going on for you in like a thing in like your job or like life, then I 100% apologize, and I definitely would try to do whatever I can.
Oh, you know what's so funny? I think I actually remember this Magnetar guy now. The end of that video about like all of MamaMax's exes coming forward, which I talked about. At the end, he mentioned going after the guy. I thought he was a pedophile, and then he even said it was like 18 and 15 or something. I was like, that's not pedophilia. I remember I was playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake. Wait, why do I remember that? Why do I remember that? This is a video from MamaMax. I don't remember the specifics of what I came to, but like, yeah, I was playing. Yep, I was playing.
Can make in 3 months. I'm not trying to prove to you I was a good boyfriend. I was always
Okay. The Haley accusation, it just seems like most of it is true. The framing might be a little bit off. Specifically, Olivia. Okay, interesting. Wow, I don't remember what I said, but if you want to watch that, it's on the old main. I guess I could link it in the chat. Okay, or in the thing. Okay, good times. Yeah, I agree.
For me, looking at all this stuff right now as presented, because again, people are asking to talk about the Magnetar stuff a lot, and some of the stuff with the girls and stuff with Max. It feels like every single person who's talking about this has their own like interest at heart, and that's created.
I feel like we should get Magnetar and have a discussion about the.
Hey, Papa, would you recommend signing your son up for stuff like the Boy Scouts? Of course, not the SA part. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm assuming that you're making a joke about like predators in the Boy Scouts. Yeah, I obviously would. I'm an Eagle Scout. You know, so why wouldn't I? I would obviously recommend my kid join the Boy Scouts.
The girl stuff too. Like I feel like Magnetar.
Do you want me to bring Magnetar in?
I mean, like honestly, I think like we all should have a discussion with Magnetar. I think like rehashing his initial video is probably more important because I think it actually adds more relevance to the Max situation right now.
You do think in hindsight that I guess your idea, I don't want to say that you brushed off the situation with Max, but your initial conclusion now is kind of open again after seeing everything that he's done with this recent case? I think
everything deserves a review after how Max has treated the situation. I think everything needs to be reviewed again, you know, personally.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from on that one. I think this has blown a hole through a lot of people. And I just as we were watching that, we were joking around before saying, like, you know how with Gerard, it's like, I have plenty of people coming around to tell me what a cool guy I've been. And even in that clip, you're like, me and my girlfriend, we're friends with Max. So it's like, I guess this is kind of been a mind boggler for a lot of people, myself included to a degree. I'm not innocent in that one either. I didn't know Max could blow a story like this, and now I'm wondering if it's not just an accident.
This whole thing really feels like
my thing. That's a little weird though is that I remember. Maybe it was a year or two ago. There was this situation. I forget the guy's name. His name might have been Caleb. I don't know if that's true. And he allegedly was flirting with a 15-year-old at 18, and then like Destiny got involved. I think it was the John Swan incident, and then everybody was sort of dumpstering John Swan for trying to cancel like an 18-year-old for talking to like a 15-year-old. So it's like this is the same scenario. How come the energy is different? Is it just because Destiny didn't get involved? I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm just getting parts of the story. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but
ego took over.
That's what I was saying. Is I thought because I don't want to say that he's a malicious clout demon, and I used this as an example before. First of all, I do not blame a single person. I assume that's Queeman's position right now. I don't blame him for having that. I think Max has dug his own grave on that regard. Yeah. But my thing is like, well, if he's going to be a clout chaser, I mean, why didn't he just make a good video? If he's going to chase Clout, he wants a real successful banger. Why didn't he just make a 1 million view video and do it right the first time? He could have chased a shitload of Clout, took a bunch of money from victims, and he kept pushing it out and pushing it out and pushing it out. This seems like more. This seems like there's a character issue here.
I think this whole thing was done to spread culpability. That's my personal belief. If we're going to get into like the fucking grim reality of the situation, I think the whole reason we had to contact other YouTubers was to spread culpability and blame if things went south. You know?
Maybe. I just feel like he was fishing. I feel like he just felt he was invincible and he could do whatever he wanted, and he didn't feel like making the video. I don't know. Maybe do we think that MamaMax is like that stupid to be so transparent about it? Oh, Destiny's a woman. That's why. True.
No? Yeah. Because here's the thing: if you do something on your own, that's you getting fucked up on your own. The moment you add me, Charlie, fucking you, everyone.
Well, that's why nobody came through this time when we started asking for more help. It's not like a crazy Angry Slug is playing Fortnite. That's hilarious. But it's not like a crazy thing. You know what I mean? So you're saying that you think that we should? Do you mean like we should get like a call privately and discuss things with Magnetar at some point, or do you think that there should be like a? Like
I don't really mind if it's public or private, but I think revisiting Magnetar's initial video that he made. Where he talks about these girls.
Because Haley popped back up today. I did speak to her briefly. My child hasn't seen it yet. We're going to watch that at some point. But yeah, they were talking about some of the stuff that happened to them and how normally when people tell me, I don't know if this is just you, but normally when people tell me like, oh, I was doxxed, they found where I work, they posted all that shit or whatever, I kind of roll my eyes at that because that usually doesn't happen. But Max is the type of person to read your mother's name and say like, we need to find this person. His community is like very aggressive. And I believe that these girls like went through a lot probably. I mean, they have to have. I mean, their only advocate was Edwin.
Yeah, that fucking idiot. Jesus Christ. No,
is Edwin the guy I'm thinking of? Like I guess he had some weird stuff last year. I didn't cover it or anything. I just remember vaguely.
I think genuinely it's like fucking. I think definitely we all have to revisit everything with Max as well. I think.
All right. It seems like we've mostly pretty much are done with this.
Honestly, having like Magnetar, I think, or Anthony,
well, apparently Anthony wasn't public. So what happened was?
Wait, fuck. Are we?
No. So Anthony was public. That's my problem with it. I fucking swear to God. Reached out to me as Anthony, but he claimed he was being doxxed when that was going on. I think he since moved off that position. I don't think his name was private, but I could be wrong. I could have sworn we interacted when his name was already.
It's only like another 5 minutes. I just want to get through this like one aspect of it.
But yeah, Anthony
Magnetar.
More
information.
One of the things he wanted me to point out is apparently Max is telling everybody that Anthony is like running the Kiwi Farms thing, and there's like no evidence to support that Anthony is like the person who doxed him on Kiwi Farms or posted all that stuff. I haven't seen a single thing, a shred of proof that shows.
Is this Frieza?
He's gone that route, and I wouldn't believe a random normie who was like defending girls on YouTube
from Dragon Ball Z.
Deep internet lore. Even
wait, he's claiming Anthony Magnetar's the one running.
I'll be honest with you, man. I feel like Dragon Ball Super. It's not that good. It's just not that good. You know, it was fun at first when it restarted, and now it's just like gone out of control. You know? I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, and that seems to be really upsetting him to reach out on me specifically.
I feel like Dragon Ball doesn't do a good enough job of showing when the main characters are like really strong, because on almost every fight they somehow continuously find somebody stronger. Like, it shouldn't be that easy. I don't know.
I'm not doing this because it's like I'm trying to pay back Anthony after me making a statement. It's actually impossible. Let me explain why it's retarded to assume anybody could be running a fake thread. You don't have any proof. You have no idea what the post came from. You have no idea what the OP poster is. It could be anyone. It could be you, Nick. It could be me. It could be anybody. How can you make an assumption? Like, this is one of the things that drives me, and it goes back to the fucking Camden Gerard Davis shit.
The Broly movie's good. I saw part. I think I watched it. I don't remember. I might have saw part of it. That's another thing that bothers me. The Broly movies have always bothered me a little bit. It just doesn't feel correct. You know, he never. I don't know.
Like, we literally don't have any confirmation at all. We have nothing. We have no hardline data to go off of. We literally are going off with feelings on the situation. Every single party.
Yeah, and it feels like if you don't like my feelings, then you're protecting pedophiles.
Yeah, that's what I get it. Okay, I think we're good.
Who's gonna believe the pedophile?
Well, I mentioned in the YouTube video. I can't say that I had this discussion right off the top.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah, okay, interesting. I just wanted to see Mudahar's take on this. So, cool beans.